As we approach our senior years and our retirement, it's natural to start thinking about the future and the what ifs, especially where it comes to, relying on somebody or needing help as we get older. Because let's face it, most of us are going to need to rely on somebody in our old age. So if you are somebody who has not had children, or you're somebody who has children but maybe you're estranged from them, this is going to look a little bit different than it would for somebody who does have children. So I'm here today with 10 steps that you can take if you are childless or do not have anybody to rely on in your golden years, so that you can make sure your senior years are much more comfortable. Hi, it's Robin with SeniorSafetyAdvice.com. Tune into our channel for tips and hints for seniors and caregivers about aging in place safely. So, what are the reasons that you need to have something in place, steps in place, in order to go into your senior years if you don't have children? Well, first of all, like I said, a lot of us, as we get older, we're going to start having physical problems. Some people may have mental decline, or they may develop Alzheimer's or something like that. And so they need to make sure that they have something in place to help them so that they are taken care of if they don't have children that they know that they can rely on. Another reason to put a plan in place is because financial and legal, if suddenly there's something that happens and you are incapacitated and there's nobody really that will step up to take care of you or to help you out, you're going to have a problem, obviously. So by having a plan in place and following these 10 steps that I'm going to cover, then you have a better chance of having the resources and the caregiving that you need in your later years. So the 10 steps begin with creating a financial plan. If you aren't talking to a financial planner, you really should do that. It doesn't matter what your income level is. Don't think that a financial planner is something that, you can only go to if you're ultra wealthy. There are financial planners who will help with all income levels. And by having a financial plan in place or going to a financial planner, they can help you to understand some of the things that you might need going forward. For example, they can help you estimate what long-term care needs might be for you. So, they'll do a calculation. If you're such and such an age, your life expectancy is so and so, and care for long-term care, the costs today are this, and they'll put this whole thing together and give you an idea of what you might need. A lot of people have no clue. I read these things saying that somebody has $30,000 or $50,000 in the bank for retirement. Now that is a good thing. I mean, at least they do have some money and they're putting money aside, funds aside, and you can only do what you can do. Pardon me, but $30,000 to $50,000 is not going to go very far if you suddenly need long-term care. So this is a time, if you haven't begun saving, that you really need to double down and start saving. And a financial planner can help you understand what you're going to possibly need, and they can create ways for you to hopefully achieve or at least get closer to those goals. Step number 2 is to make an estate plan. So many people don't have a will. Again, you can go to an attorney. They can tell you all the things that you need to have as far as the will better or is a trust better for you. They can help you with naming power of attorneys, which are things that we'll get into a little later in this video. But things like that you can name somebody to speak for you with your finances or your health care, things like that. So they can help you with that. But even if you don't go to an attorney, which I do highly recommend you visit an attorney and find out. But the thing is you can even buy programs where you can create a will online. At least there is something then that is in place if you did pass away suddenly. People, your relatives or friends, whatever, they know they can help this be carried out. So number 3 is making sure that you have taken care of putting, or at least considering, long-term care insurance. Long-term care, if you had to go into a memory care facility because you had dementia, or maybe you had a stroke and you had to be in a nursing home, it is so expensive. The most current thing that I looked at, because we're looking into long-term care insurance ourselves, my husband and I, right now, and that the private room is $265 a day, and that's here in Florida. You go to a place like New York or California where you have higher expenses, and obviously it's going to cost much, much more. So having long-term care insurance can help to reduce the financial burden that you might encounter if you had to go into long-term care. The thing about it is, I regret that I did not look into it earlier. I'm in my early 60s. I am a breast cancer survivor now. When I looked at it several years ago, I got a quote before I was diagnosed, and I said, "Oh no, that's too expensive. I don't want to spend that kind of money," because I am here to tell you long term care insurance is very expensive, but the care itself is very expensive. So, anyway, now that I'm whatever, 6 or 7 years older, and I now have this breast cancer diagnosis in my past, even though I'm 5 years out and I'm doing great, insurance companies, several of them will not even consider me anymore, and others that will consider me, the premiums are twice what they were when I looked at it, several years ago. So, buy it when you're younger and buy it before you're diagnosed with something like I was. A friend of mine's father, just to give you an idea, he is in his 70s, but he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. They did not have long term care insurance. He's being cared for at home right now. It's costing them $100,000 a year, and that's to have somebody come into the home. That's not even if he had to go into some type of a care facility. So, I mean, it is crazy expensive, and it's only going to get worse. So please look at long-term care insurance. The next thing to look at, number 4 on the list, is to put a support system in place. By the way, I should add that we do have all of these plans, these steps of the plans, covered in a very comprehensive article, which I will link to in the description down below. But put a support system in place. So if you don't have children, hopefully you have relatives or you have friends, close friends that would help you out if you needed them. That you can be looking into things like, what will the senior resources be in the area where you live? Is there a senior center? Do they have a transportation hub that will help you? If you're in a very rural area, you may not have access to something like Uber. If you're in a bigger city, there may be senior communities near you that have transportation that will take you. Like my father lived in the independent senior community, and they had a bus that took them to a doctor, took them to their dentist, took them grocery shopping, whatever they needed, as long as it was within a certain radius of the facility. So look into something like that, because if you are living in a place now that doesn't have a resource like that, it is something to think about. Maybe now is the time that you need to really consider moving into an area where you will be able to have those resources. Number 5 is putting together a health plan. So, not health insurance, although that obviously should be part of your health plan. But by this, I mean more like making sure that you are set up to have regular exams. If you're due for a colonoscopy, you get that. Things like that, so that you can take as best care of your health now as you're younger, so that that will serve you as you get older. The other thing that you want to do under a health plan is make sure that you talk about, or that you name, a medical power of attorney. Because if, again, you were suddenly in a position where you couldn't speak for yourself for some reason, and that doesn't have to be old age, that can be a car accident. I mean, anything where you're incapacitated and can't make decisions on your own, you want to have somebody who will know what your wishes would be. Do you want to be kept alive? By any means, or do you not? Things like that. Somebody needs to know that can speak on your behalf if something should happen, and you can create that. It's very simple to do. Most doctors' offices At least where I'm from, they have a power of attorney form and you can just designate who it is. I shouldn't say power of attorney, but they have a form that you can designate who you would want to make medical decisions on your behalf. You also want to do things like create a prescription list that you will print out and carry in your wallet. That way, again, if there's a car accident or I fell and broke my shoulder a couple of years ago in a Target, and the ambulance shows up, if you suddenly, cannot speak or whatever, you're comatose, I don't know, whatever, but you need to have that prescription list so that they know how to treat you. And that goes for dentists and things like that too, because I'm a dental hygienist. We need to know what prescriptions you're on because there are many prescriptions that can have implications in the dental world. So make a list of your prescriptions and the dosages and how often you take them, print it out, keep it in your wallet. Okay, number 6, simplify your living situation. So maybe you've lived in the same house for 30 years and you've got 30 years worth of stuff accumulated in the basement. You need to start weeding that out. You need to start also thinking about, is this going to be the best house for you going forward in your senior years? If it's a 3-level house, how likely do you think you're going to be able to climb the stairs to the bedroom when you're 90, if that's where you're still going to be? Start taking those steps now. You don't have to move right now, or you may not ever want to move, but you do need to start looking at things to see, do I need to put grab bars in the bathroom at this point so that they're there when I do need them? Just make sure that you look at your home and your living situation and your possessions and things like that now so that you can start working on how you're going to be living when you're in your 80s and 90s. Number 7 on the list is to consider naming a power of attorney. Now, that's different than the advanced healthcare directive person that I was talking about a little while ago as far as health related things. But a power of attorney is somebody who will make financial decisions for you. That could be the same person as the one that would make the healthcare related decisions for you. But having a power of attorney will help you avoid something like a predatory guardianship where, there are stories out there where maybe you hire a home health care aide to come in and help you, and then suddenly this person goes to the court and gets emergency guardianship of you. There's nothing you can say about that in a lot of these cases. So by getting ahead of this and having somebody you trust name as a power of attorney, you've got that part taken care of. The biggest thing about a person who's a power of attorney is that they will ensure that your wishes are taken care of. Number 8 is planning for your end of life. So this encompasses things like funerals. What are your wishes? Again, there can be religious things that come into play. And so somebody needs to know what you want to have done, what your wishes are when that time comes. And the other thing that you may want to consider is prepaying your funeral expenses and things now. Then you have everything set in place, it's taken care of, and whoever is going to help out at the end of life like that will just be able to go to that particular funeral home and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and put this plan into place now. Number 9 is to make a list of important information. You want to keep this in a document on your computer. Again, if you've got that power of attorney named, you would want to also give this list to the person who's a power of attorney. But the list of your important info is a lot of things, so many things. It's like, if you have a mortgage, where do you make the payment to, and how much is it, and what is the account number? What are your bank accounts? Where are they? What are the numbers? How about investments? Do you have a portfolio of investments? If you do, where are they all located? Maybe you have a financial planner, then somebody needs to know who the financial planner is and their contact information. Another thing would be your healthcare providers. Again, if you're suddenly in an accident or, whatever, somebody needs to know who's your doctor. What other healthcare providers do you have? Are you consistently seeing a specialist of some type. Who is it? What is their contact information? So definitely make sure that you keep a list somewhere and have it printed out and given to somebody about your important information like that. And last but not least, number 10 is to stay involved in your community. Again, if you don't have children, maybe you don't have family around you, you have the risk of isolation and loneliness, which is not good for you physically or mentally as we age. And so you want to stay involved in your community. Volunteer. You have a lifetime of knowledge that you can perhaps pass on to somebody in the form of teaching. Maybe you've always wanted to work with animals, so you go volunteer at the SPCA. Maybe pursue learning opportunities. Again, we have an article that I will put a link to in the description all about senior learning as you get older, things that you can do to take classes online. Join a book club, join a card group, join a mahjong group, something like that. Things that you can do to keep connected with your community so that you are not isolated. And also having that in place gives you that many more people that might be resources for you, that maybe would be able to help you in your later years. I know plenty of people who they look out for each other. I happen to live in a 55 plus community right now, and plenty of the neighbors, if they see something that's not quite right, they're going over there and they're checking on their neighbor. You need to have something like that in place so that you have that sense of community and so that you have the help that you need if you don't have anybody near you. So I hope this list has given you something to think about. If you follow these 10 steps, I think it will be a much more comfortable and safe retirement and senior years. So please consider a lot of what I have said and do what you can to put these steps into place. Thank you so much for watching. Again, go down to the description and find the link to the articles that I mentioned, and then that will help you with more resources along with the rest of our website. We have plenty of resources for you. So thank you so much for watching. Until the next video, take care. Bye.